been a long time coming. We'll get into some things, but MnM Going Deep is back. Some things in our lives have changed, but the same thing has stayed constant. The NFL stays king. Cole, how you been doing? How's your outlook on the Packers? Give me a little synopsis. We haven't seen each other. A little life update for everybody. I moved away, so Cole and I no longer are near one another. We don't see each other every day like we used to. Sad, but that's life. Things change.
We got, well, yeah, so we don't get drunk together every weekend anymore, but
No, that's one
some
thing.
things are some things are better for our bodies than others. Jordan Love 2 days ago was signed to the NFL's highest paid player in NFL history, which will probably change in, month when
Yeah,
Dak Prescott gets signed.
that's the only
So,
thing I don't like about that is all right, he's the highest paid ever, and then like a
yeah,
month later, somebody else gets paid, and he's the highest paid ever.
yeah,
It's like just say he's the highest paid ever right now because the cap's going to keep going up, NFL's going to keep making money, and people are going to get paid more and more and more.
yeah. But I mean, that's the nature of the game, resetting the market and whatnot. But yeah, I'm excited. Obviously the Packers, you know, my team and the Browns, your team, and going through some excruciating adversity throughout the beginning of last year. You really coasted in the beginning and had no issues with the Browns. But for the Packers, I feel like this year it's just picking up where they left off, and that's the goal, and making sure we stay healthy and add those rookie pieces that we got alongside our two big free agent signings with Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney, and how we can turn those players into, key players on our team. But yeah, couldn't be couldn't be more ready for the season to start.
Yeah, it is July still. We're recording this episode, get everybody back into the mindset of the football. Hall of Fame games coming up pretty soon. Training camp's already started. Got a lot of videos coming out of everybody's training camp. They're all over the internet. Some fights, some good stuff. Something that we need to touch upon is the end of last season. Cole and I sat down in a bar and we're like, the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. And we looked at each other and we're like, neither of us want that. So, well, let's not do an MnM going deep, and I think that'll be funny because we know the script. The secret's out. It was all scripted. Taylor Swift was there. She gave it away, and the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, knocked out the Ravens in the AFC championship, and then the 49ers obviously took care of business against the Lions, and then the Chiefs ultimately bested the 49ers again. Not surprising to say the least.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be remiss if we didn't include an episode to just touch on the Super Bowl winning team from last season. So
That was
thank you for
touching it right
mentioning that.
there.
Yeah, that's all we need. And we're not going to do an episode for the Super Bowl next season if the Chiefs win. So
Yeah, if the Chiefs are in it, everybody, all our loyal five fans, just don't even expect an episode to come out if the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. All right. All right, let's go into off-season additions and subtractions. You by team. Do you want to go like by division? Like I've got it pulled up by I've got like the NFC East right here. So you
yeah,
want to
that
start with
works.
you want to start with the
I mean,
Cowboys?
yeah, we'll go Cowboys. I mean, the storyline just generally was they didn't do anything with
Yeah.
their free agency, and Cowboys fans are frustrated because they haven't taken action. But like right now, I think the biggest concern as a Cowboys fan is the contracts with, I mean, I know they have CD Lamb, they have Michael Parsons, they had Dak Prescott, all, future contracts negotiations that are going to be concerns for all parties. Um, but yeah, I think really, let me scroll down to the Cowboys so I can remember.
Right now, I
Um,
got pulled up. They added Eric Kendricks, the linebacker, veteran linebacker, kind of like a journeyman linebacker.
yeah,
He's a familiar face to you. Played in the NFC North for a little while.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, the Cowboys have some problems.
Zeke came back to
Oh
the
yeah, I forgot
Cowboys,
about that one too.
and then they got Jordan Lewis, who came back on another 1 year deal, which was a big player that they needed to retain. Um, Outside of that, I mean, I think the running back room
Yeah,
is
they
really
lost
not
Tony
great.
Pollard.
Yeah, and I
The,
think that was smart to let go of him because he wasn't worth the money that he's was demanding. Uh, but and I believe he went to the Titans. So
Something like that. And
yeah,
also the strange thing about that too is, they let Zeke go the year before. They hand the RB1 to Tony Pollard. He didn't have like that explosion like he had in previous years that we saw from him. A lot of people pointed to that injury that he had in the what was it like the last couple weeks of the season, or was it the playoffs the year before? He broke like his leg. Um, and yeah, he didn't look like an RB1, and they drafted Deuce Vaughn 2 years ago, but he's like 5'6". I see him in training camp videos. He looks so small. I
yeah.
mean, you could like at best you can hope he's a Darren Sproles type of running back, and then like hopefully he splits time with Ezekiel Elliott. They also lost Tyron Smith, their veteran offensive tackle on the left side. He's gone. They did draft Guyton from Oklahoma. That was like how they plugged that. And another subtraction that they had that I don't think people will remember is Dan Quinn left to be the Washington Commanders head coach. So they replaced him with Mike Zimmer, good old Mike Zimmer, Minnesota Vikings head coach, um, another journeyman coach. And then, could Mike McCarthy potentially be on the hot seat? A lot of people thought Bill Belichick could go into that head coaching role, like Jerry Jones was going to go after Bill. He's still on the open market. A lot of reports for him are saying that he's going to come back in 2025.
Mhm. Um, yeah, I think the Cowboys are still solidified as a playoff team. I think they're probably I would rank them as my fourth best team in the
Yeah,
NFC
they're
if I'm
they're a
if I'm
good
looking
team.
today. But yeah, going into the Giants again, I think that's a team where I mean they have their hard knocks. That's going. I've actually just started watching their hard knocks with Joe Shane, the GM. But I think the biggest thing is losing Saquon Barkley, continuing to commit to Daniel Jones and focusing on protecting him and giving him weapons. So Malik Neighbors in the draft, and really I think they got Devin Singletary in the backfield, a solid veteran running back that can help with the pass game and pass protection. But I mean I think they're really still looking at how can they changed their defensive scheme and they have Shane Bowen from the Tennessee Titans that's coming in. So how can they with Brian Burns? They got Brian Burns from the Panthers. So those are really the
Yeah,
biggest
for
things.
cheap too.
Yeah. And so I mean I don't want to go through every single team, 1 through 32 on this, but I think like if we're going to go through and let's just say NFC East,
You want to
the
hit the
way it stacks
highlights?
up, yeah, I think right now I'm like Cowboys and Eagles. It's their division, and who's going
Yeah.
to win? It's still same landscape as last year,
Yeah,
and the
I
Giants and
don't expect
Commanders
the
are
Giants to take a big leap, and I don't expect the Commanders to take a big leap either. Even with Jaden
yeah
Daniels and then like these offseason signings they've had with Dan Quinn and who the heck is that guy that they got as their offensive coordinator? The old Arizona Cardinals head coach, Cliff Kingsbury. They
yeah.
they signed him to be the offensive coordinator. I don't expect big things out of that team, but there's always
It'll be
like a
fun to
wild
watch.
card in the
It'll be fun to
NFC.
watch.
There's always like a wild card team in the NFC that like comes out of nowhere. It could potentially be the Washington Commanders, but I don't think so. Malik Neighbors is a good name for the Giants though. He's a bona fide one wide receiver one. Uh, Training camp going on. He's tearing it up. I would be a little bit afraid of if I was a Giants fan of the Giants secondary with a rookie wide receiver looking as good as he is in camp right now. Yeah, but they live and die with Daniel Jones. We'll fly right into the Philadelphia Eagles. You kind of mentioned it with the Giants. Saquon Barkley's their big signing. They padded up their secondary with C.J. Gardner Johnson, and then getting that kid from Iowa for cornerbacks. And then I think they got another corner in the draft. Um, but
You
good
talking about
additions.
the Eagles?
Yeah, the Eagles.
Yeah, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. Yep, that was his name.
Yeah, so they'll be good. And then, I mean, I think it ultimately is like, as we just said, Eagles and Cowboys, and everything else doesn't matter. And then you go to NFC North. This is where I think, you have the competition with the AFC North is the best division in football. I would say probably right now you know, consensus is the Lions are the favorite, and then I'd put the Packers as I have the Lions as my number two team in the
In the
NFC,
NFC.
and then I have the Packers as the number three team in the NFC, and then Vikings and Bears are. I think the Vikings are a little bit further, but I think the Bears are that sneaky team that I think is dangerous and will compete for a wild card,
Yeah,
getting Caleb Williams and all the receivers they have.
yeah, they loaded up on receivers and they got DeAndre Swift from Philly. Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze coming out of Washington, still have DJ Moore. It really lives and dies with Caleb Williams, and if their defense can, stop people. A lot of times with the Bears, it's always like their offense is good one during a game and their defense is bad, or their defense is good and their offense is bad. If they put it together, it'll be good. A lot of people thought that who's their coach? I always forget his name.
Matt
I'm for
Eberflus.
Yeah, a lot of people thought he might have been on the hot seat last year. They ended up sticking with him.
Mm-hmm.
I could potentially that's a coach that if the wheels come off with Caleb early, like and then like they have a rough season, they I could see that team changing head coaches at the end of the year. But I think you're right with Detroit, and then Green Bay, Chicago, then Minnesota. I think one question for you is, do you think like obviously last year Detroit was like a talked about team like should take a jump, get into the playoffs. Obviously they kind of like exceeded expectations. Now they have these expectations. Do you think that they can live up to the hype that they're kind of getting now?
I think they will. I think that the landscape in the NFC isn't that daunting, especially at the top. So I think there's a good opportunity, especially with the Lions, to claim that one or two seed, and then I think the NFC North could end up having two or three wild cards. I'll say two, not three. But yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity at the bottom of the NFC because I think there's so much parity um, between the top and the bottom, if that makes any sense.
It does.
And then NFC South,
The
I would,
weirdest division in all of football. Obviously, the biggest storyline coming out of this division is Kirk Cousins signing with the Atlanta Falcons, and then the Atlanta Falcons then drafting Michael Penix out of
mhm.
Washington, a kind of older guy in college, had several ACL injuries throughout his college career. So a little bit weird. The reason why Kirk Cousins left Minnesota was because they let him know that they were going to draft a quarterback, and he did not want to compete with like a rookie or like deal with that. And then he goes to Atlanta. They then draft a rookie quarterback with the eighth overall pick, a huge like out of left field pick that across the NFL shocked teams and general managers that the Atlanta Falcons decided to do that. Obviously, the Carolina Panthers didn't have a lot of picks, couldn't really make a lot of moves. The Saints somehow navigate cap hell again. And then the Buccaneers, they re-signed Baker Mayfield and they kind of tell everybody that Baker Mayfield's their guy. I think the division right now runs through Tampa Bay because obviously they're the winners of last season and they
Yeah.
probably still have the best team.
Yeah, and I think you hit everything. I would just say, like, I think if I'm looking at Kirk Cousins is the biggest news for this division, and I think that just makes the Falcons, when you look at them getting Danielle Hunter, or no, Danielle Hunter went to the Texans. Um, but they got some big free agent defensive end. Um, but you add what they have in the Falcons with Kirk Cousins in that offense, I think they're going to be just there with the Buccaneers as far as competing for the NFC South division. But then I think the Panthers are still a bit away. And I also think you're looking at the Saints, who are just, I think they're aged a little bit too far for the talent that they're trying to keep up with. And now they probably have to look at a rebuild in the near future. But
Yeah, and
um,
also like Derek Carr has not played, played up to snuff down there. And like you're right, they're an aging franchise, and this could be like the last year that they make a run at it, and then you could see like these pieces like Marcus Lattimore going, and who's their edge rusher that they love?
Cameron Jordan,
Yeah, you could see him getting on, like, put on the trade block, them moving like those pieces that have
yeah,
been there for years and years and years. And also, before we move on to the NFC West, it's important to note that Kirk Cousins is still coming off an Achilles injury, like not the easiest thing to come back from, and also up there in age, probably not like shouldn't expect the world from him. And you, it's important to note they signed him to a 4-year, $180 million contract, 50 million guaranteed.
yeah, which is nothing now that you think about that. Um, but going to NFC West, Niners, number one team on my book for the best team in NFC, and probably the best team in the NFL. But I'll go Niners number one, and then I think the Rams are they're my
Two.
fifth best team in the
Yeah, NFC.
NFC. Fifth or sixth, actually they're my sixth, but I think they're very good, and I think you have a sneaky two teams in the Seahawks and the Cardinals that Kyler Murray wasn't healthy last year. When he's back, another year with their coaching scheme, I think they could become a little bit dangerous, not necessarily for the playoffs, but as far as a not an easy win on a schedule. And then I also think the Seahawks are very good. So I think they're just underrated and overlooked.
Yeah, the Seahawks thing is like basically just their quarterback. It's like Geno Smith and Sam Howell competing for it out there. Obviously you nailed it with 49ers. It's gonna roll through the 49ers, and obviously they're probably the number one team in the NFC, like you said. I do like the Rams. I've liked how like what they've done and built. I would be a little, gun shy with them. Like losing Aaron Donald to retirement is a big loss. Important to note there. And I like what you hit with Kyler. Kyler is finally healthy again. They got him a bona fide wide receiver one with Marvin Harrison Jr. Can Marvin Harrison Jr. be like his father or even better? Who knows? They did lose Marquise Brown though, another weapon of Kyler Murray's. But yeah, the Cardinals they'll definitely be better than they were last year now that they have their QB1 back and all that good stuff. But interesting division. I like what you said with the 49ers and Rams. I would agree with that. And then Seahawks, they have a lot of pieces. It's just that fucking quarterback, man. And that's how it goes in
Yeah.
the NFL. We'll fly into the AFC East real quick. The Buffalo Bills probably still the number one team in the AFC East. I would be, I know you're probably going to say maybe the Jets with
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers coming back. I still am like, you saw 4 plays from him. So I don't know.
I've
Uh,
seen every play of his career actually. And I don't think he's just gonna fall off a cliff and
I don't think so either.
accept that either. So I expect him to be even the worst version of Aaron Rodgers is better than a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL.
True.
And I would expect them to be much better than they were last year on offense. And their defense was already very good. And the only
Yep.
problem they had was getting off the field. So in my mind, I think that the Jets they look at themselves as the best team in the AFC East. I think the Bills, very strong team. I think as long as you have a Josh Allen there, um, it's who did they get at receiver?
They
They got
drafted Keon Coleman out of Florida
Ian
State.
Coleman out of Florida State, yeah. And like I think they got the two tight ends in Dawson Knox and in Dalton Kincaid. Like they have a good inside and middle of the field, receiving threats. And then
James
I
Cook obviously became like a pretty big piece for them last year
yes.
too.
And I think when you look at the Dolphins, they're another team that you have to understand what they're able to do. I know Tua is one of those quarterbacks where he plays great, feel like in September, October, and then November, December comes and he's not the same. But I think Mike McDaniel is a great coach, and I think you can't underestimate them. The Patriots, I think they're just rebuilding, and we'll see what they do with uh, Mayo. Gerard Mayo is their coach, and hopefully Drake May can prove them right as far as the decision they made there at number 3 in the draft. But yeah, I don't know if that's going to be. I think it'll be a fun season to watch, hopefully, because you won't have to deal with the boring quarterback play and the offense that was boring last year. And I think there's going to be more energy being, coming from Gerard Mayo led team, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think I disagree with you on the Jets thing because it's the Jets to me. I just don't think the Jets are gonna be like a powerhouse or anything like that. They could prove me wrong, which is like would be good, especially for the league with a New York team being good. And Aaron Rodgers can be like a very good leader for them, which they kind of needed last year. They needed a guy to lead them, and it wasn't there. Dolphins, I just don't like they're a good team, and I agree that McDaniel is a very good head coach, but I when it gets down to those later months, man, and they start playing in colder weather, they just look soft. And you saw
Yeah,
it in Kansas City when they played in that really cold playoff game. Um, so I still think that the division will still go through the Buffalo Bills, and you're right, New England Patriots are rebuilding. I want to know if they're going to start Jacoby Brissett or if they're going to start Drake May. It'll be interesting. Also,
yeah,
I really like Joe Milton. If someone can figure out how to make that guy be able to throw a slant, he'll be a weapon.
yeah. I think he's just a perfect, what is it, like a Madden prospect that you can just, mold into your own clay.
Yeah, throw
And
it 99 yards. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't disagree. I think he's like a Josh Allen potential suitor. You know what I mean? He's kind of got like the Josh Allen mold to him. But uh, besides that, going into the AFC North, this is where I think again it's NFC North and AFC North. That's the two divisions where I'm like, there's really not a bad team. You've got the Ravens coming off the division that they won and we're the 1 seed. I think they have like only stayed the same. Like they haven't gotten worse. I don't think they've changed a lot of players. They lost their linebacker Patrick Queen, I believe.
Yeah, he went to the
They
Steelers.
lost, yeah, they lost Gus Edwards. But they got Derrick Henry. So I mean that's really the big. And I don't know how that's going to work. I really don't see Derrick Henry being e- extremely. I could be completely wrong. I just don't see. I think they need more, not just right down your throat type of running back in Baltimore. I think they need more of a agile. And I know Gus Edwards isn't like necessarily a specific, talented with like a specific combo that he has that makes him, dangerous. But I think there's something about a do-it-all back. And I'm not saying Derrick Henry isn't. He's one of a kind, but is a Brandon Jacobs, Derrick Henry type back what Lamar Jackson needs. So I'm curious to see if that actually works, and it'd be scary if it does. Steelers, they're very good. I mean, what Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, two of the best to ever do it
I hope they
at
split
one
time
time.
between them in the preseason. I hope so because that would just make them so much worse.
I I think these Steelers are again, you have to respect their defense. Their offensive
And
line is very good now, and I think you have to look at their offensive line and be like, okay, they can run the ball. If they can't run the ball this year, it's a curse that they have, like where it's a problem. Their passing game have really good receivers. It really all comes down to quarterback play, and I think Russell Wilson. Again, you don't become like a Hall of Fame level type player and just drop off a cliff. And like, I still think there's stuff in there for him to have another couple good seasons. Browns, I'll let you chime in. I look at them and I don't think anyone's talking about the Browns and forget that they were a playoff team last year and kind of just, I think they're going to be on a mission after getting their asses kicked in the playoffs in the first round and take it personal. So I would be shocked to see them fall off. I know Deshaun Watson is the biggest question mark to me. I really don't know if he's the same player anymore. And this is, I think, his last year to prove that he's that type of guy. And then my last thing I'll say is, who am I fucking missing? Oh, the
Bengals.
Bengals. Joe Burrow, white tiger uniforms. Can they get back in the playoff mix? Can they be a team that's
Can,
again,
can
can
Joe
they
Burrow
stay
stay
healthy?
healthy?
Yeah. Can they be a team that protects the quarterback and then is the Jamar Chase like can we get everything back and running the way it used to because they're not getting any younger. I know or older. I know that that core is young, but the players around it.
Yeah. Ravens. I know that like all Ravens fans are talking about how like Derrick Henry is going to change the game for them. I want to remind Ravens fans, you have not had a 1,000 yard rusher running back since Justin Forsett. Let that sink in real quick. You have not had a 1,000 yard rushing running back since Justin Forsett. Okay, now we'll move forward. The Bengals, I agree with you. It rests on Joe Burrow and if he can stay healthy. And I don't know how much of this Jamar Chase and T. Higgins wanting contracts will play into effect with that. I think that there's a rift there between, the front office and the players because, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, two integral pieces for their offense, have not been re-signed. They're still on their rookie deals. They want to get re-signed. They want to stay in Cincinnati, but I think that that's like a looming like disaster if they don't get it handled. Joe Mixon's out the door. They bring in Zach Moss. Zach Moss had a pretty good year with Indianapolis last year, filling in when Jonathan Taylor was injured, but kind of an older running back as well. They made some good additions in the draft. The Browns, yeah, I agree with you that it all rests on Deshaun Watson, and if he can be the same player, we lose Joe Flacco, but Jameis Winston comes in. I think Jameis Winston will be a good backup running quarterback for Deshaun, and also I think he's a great locker room guy. I think he'll help Deshaun more than Joe Flacco probably could because Joe Flacco doesn't want to do that role anymore. Even though he signed with Indianapolis, kind of to do that for Anthony Richardson. Big acquisition is probably Jerry Jeudy being having like a second stud wide receiver. Elijah Moore hasn't really stepped up in the way that a lot of Browns fans thought. David Njoku, obviously, he's progressing, and then a lot of pieces that expired. Their contracts expired for the Browns last year. The Browns re-signed, so that's Zadarius Smith, Shelby Harris, Maurice Hurst, all came back. And I think one piece that a lot of people forget that the Browns did this offseason is they brought in Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is a what is he? He's a consultant for the Browns, but he's out there every day during practice. Him and Kevin Stefanski build the game plans. Um, they they're and they still have Jim Schwartz as a defensive coordinator, which I love. That defense looked great last year. They were the number one defense. Um, I'm excited for the Browns, but usually when I'm excited for the Browns, that's usually when they break my heart the most. And then the Steelers, fuck you guys. I don't want to see you be good ever, and I hope Russell Wilson and Justin Fields suck.
Yeah. I mean that's for us to find out. And then okay, AFC South, Titans, Jags, Texans. Um, Titans, Jags, Texans, Colts. Gosh, I always
Yeah.
leave one out.
It's like what?
The no, I think the Titans, Will Levis, can he continue to progress and develop? I really look at this division and the Texans are just Texans and Jags. Colts are also it's Anthony Richardson the guy. Let's get him healthy and see how he performs. They played pretty well with under Gardner Minshew and stayed in the mix. So I really think it comes down to can the Texans build off of what they had last year and become even more of a threat for the AFC title? And then the Jaguars, can they get back on track? Trevor Lawrence, he got paid 55 million a year. It's now time to play like it. And see if they can, win playoff games, get to the playoffs first. And I think that's really kind of that dynamic right now. I look at it as the Texans 1, Jags 2, uh, Colts 3, and Titans a close 4. I don't think the Titans are far off.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the Titans rest on Will Levis. They bring in Callahan from Cincinnati to become the head coach, and they steal Brian. What is his name? Brian? Bill Callahan. They steal Bill Callahan from the Cleveland Browns, the offensive line coach, in order to. I don't know if he's the offensive line coach there or if he's the offensive coordinator, but also he was the coach of the Oakland Raiders when they went to the Super Bowl. I found that out kind of recently, so I wanted to say that. I like what you said about Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, he got paid and kind of hasn't shown much of it. I don't know. The Jags are a weird team to me. Didn't they get rid of Calvin Ridley too?
Yeah, he's on the Titans, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, he's on the Titans. And but they drafted Brian Thomas out of LSU. The Colts signed Joe Flacco and like I watched him all of last year with the Browns. Obviously, I think that's like a Jeremy Lin type, you know, shooting star in a bottle type thing. Like I don't a 40-year-old quarterback that like wasn't really good for a while, like there's a reason he wasn't on a team. And like even as a Browns fan, like I love what he did for the team and where he got us to last year, but he threw like 2 to 3 interceptions every game. Still, it's not
And
good.
but as a backup, I think that's just fine.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, Anthony Richardson, he has pieces around him like Michael Pittman Jr. and Jonathan Taylor. This division goes through the Houston Texans because of CJ Stroud and what he did for them last year. And who's their head coach? Their head coach is good too. He was a rookie
Who?
head coach. Houston.
Oh,
Uh,
D'Amico Ryans.
yeah, he was a phenomenal head coach. Really shored up that defense. Signed Daniil Hunter, got Joe Mixon from Cincinnati, so put more pieces around the defense and around CJ Stroud. Titans, let's see what Will Levis can do, man. I'm not really sold on him yet, but maybe he'll prove me wrong. Maybe he'll prove the world wrong, why he should have been a first round pick instead of a second round pick. We'll go over to the AFC West, kind of shore this up. Denver Broncos, still Sean Payton, even after that really rough season. Get rid of Russell Wilson, draft Bo Nix. Interesting to me is that they cut Justin Simmons, who was like the leader of their defense. He's a safety, still remains unsigned, which is odd to me. Um, Broncos, yeah. Are they gonna have a quarterback? They're like the Cerberus of weird quarterbacks right now. Bo Nix, Zach Wilson, and who's the other one? They have a third one.
I know who you're
Third,
talking about.
they have a
Uh,
third weird quarterback like that.
yeah. I mean, I think they drafted Bo Nix in the first round to be the guy. Like, I think he's going to take the snaps. I don't think he's someone that's not pro ready. I think the thing with Bo Nix is he's pro ready. It's just his his special talent's really not crazy, but exactly how Sean Payton likes his quarterback is what Bo Nix is. So I foresee him taking the job and Zach Wilson being a formidable backup. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say the Chiefs, like, they're better on paper this year than they were last year, and so you really expect them to take a big step forward. And then you look at the Chargers. I think they're going to be a very, imposing team early on. I don't see Jim Harbaugh having a awful season. He's not that type of coach. But it might take them like this season to turn things around. But I
Who's
foresee them.
who is Justin Herbert going to give the ball to? That's all I keep thinking about with that team.
Okay. Um, do they have Palmer still?
I think that's
Josh
like the
Palmer,
only guy that they kept.
Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, the TCU kid. Yeah, they have him, but they got rid of Keenan Allen. Mike Williams is gone. Austin Eckler's gone. I think in like Jim Harbaugh has said, he's like, we're gonna run the ball. They signed who's the dude that's torn his Achilles like 3 times? Um, the dude from Baltimore, J.K. Dobbins. Oh, they signed both
Gus
Baltimore
Edwards.
running
Gus
backs,
Edwards. Yeah.
and then they signed DJ Chark. Like I don't know. Weird offensive pickups for the Chargers, especially when you have a guy like Justin Herbert. So that's my one question mark with them is like how that's going to go. I do love Jim Harbaugh as a head coach. The thing that really pisses me off about this team is that they're in the AFC, and I really just don't want any more good AFC teams because the Browns are probably going to have to fucking fight for a wild card, and having like these teams like the Chargers come along in a division with the Chiefs, like they're going to be have to probably vie for a wild card spot. And being in the AFC North, that really screws the Browns over. But they drafted Lad McConkey out of Georgia, and I'm high on Lad McConkey. I think that maybe him and Justin will have a really good connection. But yeah, it's the same news with this division is it's gonna run through the Chiefs. The Raiders, did you see that thing on the internet where they like made a puppet of Patrick Mahomes and they were like beating the crap out of it? And then like Mahomes dressed addressed it the other day. He was like, "Yeah, we'll deal that one like later in the season. We have actually business to take care of here." Weird. Why the Raiders would ever do that? Yeah, you beat them on Christmas, but you haven't been to the playoffs in 2 years.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but um, probably not smart to poke the bear.
And
Um,
the Chiefs got it. Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned it, the Chiefs got even better. They picked up Marquise Brown in free agency, and then they drafted the what was his name from Xavier Worthy from Texas, that really fast kid. Like that's perfect for Mahomes. Like Rashee Rice, obviously he's going to be suspended for, flipping a car on the freeway, but you got two other dudes, and you still have Kelsey. Yeah, he's a year older, but he's reliable.
yeah.
This this division rolls through the Chiefs. I wouldn't be surprised though if the Chargers split the series with them this year, like go 1-1.
hmm I yeah, I look at the division. I look at it as Chiefs one, Chargers two, Raiders close three, and Broncos close four. I don't think there's any bad teams necessarily. I don't think you're going to get more than one, maybe two teams out of the playoffs, but I really think it's just going to be one. But with that said, do you want to give your Super Bowl picks?
No, we'll save that for like week one and like all that good jazz.
You're afraid?
I'm afraid. Am I
Yeah.
afraid? No,
If you
I have a
if
future already placed on who I think is going to win the Super Bowl.
okay, all right, we'll wait then. But
I got some good odds. That's what I was going for.
yeah, you got the fucking Cardinals or something for
No,
ten
I took the
thousand?
no, I picked the Bengals at plus 1,000.
Okay.
What do you got?
I don't have a bet in yet, but I'm going to North Carolina, so I'll have betting. I'll be able to bet again on
Yeah,
sports.
being in Virginia is nice, but now I've got to move to South Carolina where gambling's not legal again. So that's awful. All right, a little like preview of like what you guys should expect over the next 4 weeks. We got 4 weeks until NFL season kicks off on September 5th with the Ravens and Chiefs. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna like Cole and I kind of just did a like a little synopsis of each division, little bit of like uh addition subtractions of each team, a little bit of like preview, like how we feel about things, but we'll get more in depth over these next couple of weeks. All right. So this is what we're gonna do. So next week's episode, we're gonna do the AFC and NFC East. We'll cover both those divisions, schedules, things, how we see them playing out. Then we're gonna do the AFC NFC North. Then we'll do the AFC NFC South, and then the AFC NFC West the week after that. That'll lead us all up to week one of the NFL season, and you'll probably get an episode from us for MnM Going Deep on September 3rd-ish. We'll probably record it on that date and maybe release it on that Wednesday or that Tuesday, depending on how fast I can pump it out. But that's what we're gonna do. I'm excited for the NFL season. I've been getting pumped up with these training camp videos and all things that are going on. And last question, did you watch that Netflix series Receiver?
I have gotten through most of it. I've passively watched it, but yeah, I mean, all the content, it's cool. I think it's good to see like the other side of the game, with the players. But Why? What did you think about it?
I haven't watched it. I'm saving it for the week before the NFL season. Like I save like the Hard Knocks that's coming out right now with the Giants. I'm not watching it until like later. Obviously, Hard Knocks, the actual series. I don't remember who it's with for training camp. Do you know who it is?
I gosh, it's
The
I'm going through every
Lions?
single I'm going through it now. I'm going through every single team in my head. Saints, Bucks.
Chicago Bears.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, that'll be fun. You'll get a little look in at Caleb Williams, Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, and Keenan Allen at their offense. That'll be fun to watch. Little NFC North rivalry right there with your Packers and Bears. But I'm gonna save that too, like just kind of get myself ready. But I'm pumped for this season. Hopefully, it's not another Chiefs Super Bowl. They'll be the first to ever win three in a row if they do. But it looks like that on paper is where we're headed.
Yeah.
So, July 28th, mark my words. I just said it. July 28th. I said Chiefs win the Super Bowl. So,
Okay. Yeah.
all right, that'll do it for this episode of MnM Going Deep. You guys got the schedule. We'll keep you updated. Stay with us. Stay with us all throughout this. We got what? 26 weeks until the Super Bowl or something like that. I think I just did that math really quick off the top of my head. I don't know if I'm even close to being right. Maybe next week I'll tell you if I was close with 26 weeks. All right, we'll see you guys next time.